I have been told that in the return to life, there are two stages. First, that of the sense of mental or spiritual. Secondly, that of the sense of physical existence. It seems probable that if when we reach the second stage, we could recall the impressions of the first. Then came to my senses sudden motionlessness, and throughout all things, it seems as if those who bore me had outrun in their descent the limits of the limitless and paused tiredness of their toil.
I can't see anything.
Was I to be condemned to death? Usually those who are executed at the autos da fe, which had been held on the very night of my trial. Should I be held until the next execution, which will not take place for many months? Why is it dark as pitch? Why is my prison so black? Am I to perish of starvation in this subterranean world of darkness? Or could my fate be even more fearful that the result would be my death, a death of more customary bitterness? I knew too well the characters of my judges to doubt. "52 paces, resuming my walk. I count 48 more. Then I arrived at the rag. In all, 100 paces. The doom prepared for me, I can now see clearly. I patted myself on the back for not falling into the pit. If I had taken one more step, the world would have seen me no more. The fact that I just avoided this death is what makes me fabulous and frivolous. The Inquisition left most of its victims with two choices: the choice of death with physical agonies, or the choice of death with the most hideous of moral horrors. I myself had been reserved for the latter. My nerves had become unstrung until I trembled at the sound of my own voice, and had become ready for the torture which awaited me. The next time I awoke, it appeared my captors had moved my bread and water. It felt like hours before I finally found them again, and as soon as I found the water, I went straight for it, as my thirst was unquenchable. I would soon discover that the water had been drugged. The room was bright with a light that seemed to have no source. The size of the room I had greatly mistaken, for it was much smaller. I tried to figure out where I went wrong in counting my paces. I counted 52 to the edge of the pit. I must have been off by one or two. In fact, I had just walked around the prison. Growing suddenly tired, I went back to sleep to reflect on my mistake. The vault seemed to have shifted while I slept. It seems to have doubled in size. The general shape of my cell was a square. Looking around in my slumber, I see the plate of bread, but my pitcher of water had been removed. This, to my horror, I say horror because my thirst was intolerable. My thirst appeared to have been designed by my torturers. Reason being, the bread was heavily seasoned with salts. Affixed to the ceiling was a pendulum. This bothered me. Although its motions were slow, it was still disheartening. It had felt like hours before I turned my head to look up again. The speed of the pendulum had increased and it had grown closer to me. The pendulum was now a foot above my stomach. The edge was sharp, like a razor. My doom could no longer be doubted. The ingenuity of my torturers was dumbfounding. I had no choice but to accept the fact of my certain death. I half smiled at the thought of it. The pendulum slowly worked towards me. It seemed to take hours, even days. With each pass of the blade, a brush of air and a sharp odor seeped into my nostrils. I had prayed the blade to hasten and to end my life. I grew frantically mad and struggled to sit up against the ropes so that I might end my life quicker. I had failed and lay back down calmly, smiling at the glittering death, as a child at some weird bauble. An idea formed in my head. I've decided to use the last of my food as bait for the rats to come and loosen the ropes for me. Now, the only thing I can do is wait and see.
What? Why are the walls closing? No! No! The pit! No! No! No!
General the Shah had come. The French army had entered Toledo. The Inquisition was in the hands of its enemies. I was free.